I'm so sorry. I am so late. I just, I was lost and made the wrong turn, and I forgot my glasses before I was leaving in the morning, and then I had to look all over the house for them.
Okay.
And they ended up being right where I left them last night.
Okay, no problem. Well, we should probably... Hi, I'm Christina. I'm your occupational therapist.
Gretchen, nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you. Yeah, don't worry about it. I know it's hard finding a place for the first time, so no worries. Well, it's really nice to meet you, and I really appreciate you meeting me here. Today I was kind of planning on doing like two main things, like starting out getting to know you through an interview, and then maybe doing like two assessments to kind of get an idea of how you're functioning in life and your day-to-day activities.
All right.
Okay, so I have a little bit here in your file about kind of what's been going on, and I know you've been seeing a therapist. But I'm not sure. I just wanted to ask you, do you know what occupational therapy is?
To be honest, no. I have no idea.
Okay.
I just know that it was referred here.
Okay. All right. Sure. I can help you, to be, know a little bit more about that, and then as we go on in our sessions, I think you'll kind of see where it's going. But just to give you an overview, so an occupational therapist will help you in your life, in your daily life, with the occupations that you do or need to do or want to do. And occupations in this way means the things that take up your time, the things that you do, whether it's taking care of yourself, going to school or work or leisure activity, whatever it might be that you might have a specific problem with, or you might want to get better at, or something that you need or want to do to function and have a fulfilling life.
Okay, I just thought I had to do work.
No, actually, I mean, that can be part of it. If that's something you want help with or something that you want to address, we can do that. But this would just be, occupational therapy is just a part of like a larger treatment kind of plan. And so we'll use occupations, things that you can do, as both a means and an end, depending on what your goals are. Like, that's why I'm here, is to help you meet your goals. So if there's something that, that's more something your therapist is working on, and it's more of a mental thing, like maybe we can do activities that address getting better with an issue you're having there, or if you want to start up a new occupation, like a new hobby, that could be something we can do too. So it just kind of depends on what you want and what you need. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay, any questions about that? Or?
Well, I think I'll get it. It's
okay.
So long.
Yeah, and any time you have a question, please feel free to ask. A lot of people don't know about occupational therapy, so I do not mind answering questions or clarifying. Okay, great. So I think we'll just go ahead and get started with the interview, if that's okay.
Sounds good.
All right, thanks, Gretchen. Let me put up my notes here. All right, Rebecca, I really appreciate you coming here and meeting with me. I'd like to kind of do like a little casual interview with you, if that's okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, great. So you're still, pretty young, 19 years old, so I think I'd like to ask you about your childhood and your teenage years and now, if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, so we might switch back and forth between now, past, future. Does that sound all right with you?
Right. But now is childhood, yeah. Okay.
Well, yeah, now is like you right now, what you're doing in your life. But I'll be asking you about your childhood and your teenage years. Okay, great. So let's talk about your childhood for right now. But you can switch back and forth, whatever's easy for you. But I'm going to ask you about that. So when you're a child, you spend a lot of time playing. So what was your favorite age when you were a child, and why? And what kinds of things did you like to do then?
Well, I guess I really enjoyed my elementary years. I was on a soccer team, and I have really fond memories with my dad bringing me and my sister to soccer games and buying us donuts. But we did a lot of other things too. We did like gymnastics, and we played outside and go to the park and like on the swings, and there were always like things to do. And, we would run around the park, and sometimes we'd get really late, and then we'd be out too late, and we would get mad. And we were like missing. And, you know, I liked dolls too, and we had a lot of toys that we'd play with, but mostly just like, running around and, getting in trouble.
So did you do most of these things alone or with friends?
Definitely friends. We could play with kids in the neighborhood, and play with my sister, and kids from school, cousins, and
So you have one sister, and do you have any other brothers or sisters?
Just an older sister.
Another sister. Okay. So I know you talked about, I think, soccer, and did you also talk about gymnastics?
Yeah.
You mentioned? Okay. So you did those, and those are pretty physical sports or activities. But what other games did you do? Like team games or games with rules, maybe, when you were a child?
Well, I mean, during recess we would play foursquare, or like kickball and basketball. A lot of the games on the playground, and jump rope, and handball, and
yeah. So, did you enjoy playing those games with the rules?
Definitely, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I liked running around. And not really like games where you just sit and love active games.
You liked recess a lot?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Better than during, just school.
Okay, so that was your favorite part of the school day.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I have here in my notes that you were diagnosed with ADHD. So, I think probably you're saying you had a lot of energy and you like doing active things. Was that?
I'm sorry, what?
So you like doing active things? You have a lot of energy that you like to get out?
Yeah.
Okay. And that was like that when you were a child?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
So as a child, did you play with kids that were your own age? Like, aside from your sister, who I know is a little bit older than you, I think you said. Did you play with children your own age, or older, or younger, or?
Yeah, kids my age. Around the same age.
Okay. All right. And when you were a kid, did you daydream or have make-believe friends or make-believe games?
I definitely daydreamed all the time. I would, I'd come up with stories in my head in class, just from like things that I would see around the room and make me think of other things. And like when I was in soccer, during one of the games, I was just like balls on the other side of the field, and I just started thinking about gymnastics. When I started doing like some gymnastics on the soccer field, and then everyone got mad at me because the ball got kicked over to my side, and I was supposed to be a defender, and I just wasn't paying attention because I was doing gymnastics. So a lot of stories like that where I just start thinking about other things while other people are talking, and then I had no idea that I was thinking about other things or that I was doing something before. I just started thinking and daydreaming.
Did you dream about what you would be when you grew up?
No, I'm just thinking about what I'm going to do now. From eating breakfast, I'm not like thinking about what I need to do for the day, or just I've got to eat breakfast right now, and do whatever people tell me that I need to be doing at that moment.
Okay. So you probably maybe weren't too much of a planner. Did you do a lot of planning? Or?
No. I mean, I was aware of like the things that I should be doing, but I was always doing something else. Just I felt like I wasn't really in control of those things. I just I would like there'd be homework that I need to do, and I know I need to work on that essay, but I just like go out and take a walk, and then I maybe go walk with my dog, and make some friends, and it was always fun.
I can relate to that procrastination, but I think for you it was a little more out of your control. Maybe because of your diagnosis.
Yeah, it definitely felt like an inner force that I couldn't control.
Okay. Yeah. All right. And that's been hard for me sometimes.
Yeah.
When you were a kid, how did you learn to do things, such as ride a bike or tell time or drive a car?
Well...
So, like, who taught them to you?
Yeah.
Was it yourself, or your parents, or your friends, or other people?
My friends, or from watching my sister.
Okay.
Yeah. Not really from my parents. My dad wasn't around. and my mom was doing other things. You know, my boyfriend, my ex-boyfriend, Rob, taught me how to drive, actually. People get frustrated with me, like, trying to teach me things, because I just, I get sent to some other place in my mind, and I'm not paying attention anymore. So a lot of people just give up, and they don't even try. So I have to learn a lot by myself.
Or your friends a little more understanding and patient with you?
Yeah, definitely.
Probably
my friends get me more.
More so than anyone else?
Yeah.
So sometimes as people grow, their interests change. So maybe that might have happened with you. What kind of interest did you have as a kid, and how does that compare with your interests now?
I was doing a lot of active things as a kid, and I think that I still do now. I just got back from 3 months in the northern forests of Minnesota, backpacking with Outward Bound. We went camping and canoeing and kayaking, and we would, each day would be a different campsite, and we had to hike to each different place, carrying everything with us as we go, and that was an amazing experience, and I really loved that.
I can see you're really excited about that. That looked like that was fun for you.
Oh, it totally was. It's probably one of the best things I've ever done in my entire life.
Wow. So I only know a little bit about this Outward Bound, but from what I understand, I have a friend who works there. Is it like you're provided with minimal equipment, and you just sort of have to learn and fend for yourself and work together? Is that?
Yeah, you learn as you go. You don't really have to know anything going in it, but they help you. Yeah, they teach you things. You learn together as a team. Everyone contributes something each day. And, yeah, it was really great.
So was that scary for you? Exciting? Challenging? How did you feel about that?
It definitely was it was very peaceful, because it was so quiet, and there was no set schedule that was required. You could just kind of take things at your own pace, and it was just very like a fresh start for me. No one had any expectations of who I was, and they didn't know of all my horrible behaviors or of my drug use. They just saw me for who I was then and who I wanted to be.
Okay. So were you using drugs at your Outward Bound? Like, what were you doing right before you started Outward Bound?
I was in rehab.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what were you in rehab for?
I was living with my boyfriend Rob, and he was into drugs, and I was doing coke and pot and pills and acid, and I ran away from home at one point with him. For 2 years we lived in this neighborhood of crack houses, and one day I went to my therapist, and my dad was there. He didn't even tell me he was coming, and they just needed to take a drug test, and then they sent me straight to rehab. It was one of probably the most hardest times in my life. I was at such a low point in my life, and I didn't feel it was a very positive experience. My self-esteem was just there. I had nothing left in me. It was very bad, but it was so different than the Outward Bound experience for me.
Okay. All right. Well, that was really helpful information. I'm glad to have heard your story there. We're going to continue, if that's okay. So I'd like to ask you a little bit about your family, if that's okay.
All right.
Okay. So as a teenager, that can often be a difficult time, both for the teenager and the people around, like family and friends. So how would you describe your relationship with your family at that time?
Bad, definitely.
Okay. So what was it? Do you think it was anything that? Did you feel like you had anything to do with that, or was it other issues or a combination, or how was it bad?
Well, my dad was never around, and my mom was very angry because of that. Their relationship was not good, but on top of that, every day I would get notes from my teachers sent home with me because of behaviors that I did in school, and because I was failing exams. I eventually failed out of school. At one point, I got kicked out of private school and sent to public school again, and just, all of those things upset my mom. My dad was never there, so she had to be in charge of disciplining me, and my mom was abusive. She'd yell, and she would, beat me when I would fail an exam, and I would lock myself in my room and push the dresser over the door so she couldn't get in, and I just cry myself to sleep, and it was just not a very good time in my life. It's not a happy place to be.
That must have been hard for you and your sister. So, despite the difficult times that you've had, can you think of anything positive, like any positive qualities about your family members?
The memories that I do have with my dad are good, but just not a lot of memories because he wasn't there a lot of the time. My mom tried really hard for my father. She would, she'd make herself the best cook, she'd work out and keep her body in shape. She was, the perfect homemaker in a lot of ways, but my dad just never saw that. So, I admire that part of my mom. She tried really hard, but just, it didn't work. And she would get angry, and then the anger would come out of us instead of my dad.
Okay. Yeah, that must have been very difficult time for you. What kind of responsibilities did you have at home during that time? And do you think those responsibilities were reasonable?
I guess, I had chores to do. A lot of it was like cleaning my room, but my mom had like really high expectations for me for like organizing my room and taking care of my stuff, but my room was a mess. I couldn't do it. I would lose things all the time, like my soccer cleats, and I'd just be like rushing around the house trying to find things. Nothing was washed, and I just found my dirty stuff from the last week that we had a game, and I'd be missing like my shoe, or I'd be missing one sock, and everything was just everywhere. And then my mom would get mad because I didn't have anything in order, or I would be running late, and then.
So, how did you compare to your sister with these chores and responsibilities?
Oh, my sister was fine. She could do them. I couldn't,
Okay. So, do you think these expectations and chores and responsibilities were they reasonable for you, or do you think your mom was too demanding, or?
They were reasonable for my sister, but not for me.
Okay.
They didn't. I guess. People didn't see the struggles that I had, that I really was trying. I tried so hard, but just couldn't do it. That was,
Right, and I can't remember if you mentioned, like, when you were diagnosed or how that happened, so I don't know, do you think that had a factor in your difficulties with doing chores at home, or?
They didn't know I had ADHD until 8th grade. I'm sorry, what did you?
So I don't know.
How did that affect?
I guess basically what I'm getting at is, was your family understanding, and did they take opportunities to kind of compensate for, your ADHD difficulties?
Yeah, no, they found out I had ADHD, but it didn't mean anything. I didn't go to therapy, nothing changed in school, nothing changed at home, and it's just like, oh, I have ADHD, that's it.
Okay, so it was just a diagnosis, just a label maybe?
Yeah, that was it.
Okay. So then I'm guessing that these things you were expected to do at home, did you maybe not do them on time, or?
Oh, no.
Yeah, so then your mother would?
She'd be mad, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I was definitely, sometimes I didn't even remember. Sometimes I knew what I had to do, but I couldn't do it. I didn't even know how to start. There was just so many things. Where do you even, your room looks like a mess. How do you start cleaning that? No idea.
Sounds like. Yeah. Okay. That sounds difficult. That must have been hard. So now, how do you obtain spending money, or maybe in the past? And are you satisfied with the amount of money you have right now to do those things?
I get an allowance. My dad has a good job, but you know, I just spend it as soon as I get it, you know, I don't really save it. And I spent a lot of money on drugs when I was away from home. All my money, I have nothing now, and I spent it all. As soon as I got money from, you know, and I would just spend it.
Okay. But do you decide how you spend it? Or is that, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so now I'd like to talk a little bit about school. So as I understand it, you're not currently in school, is that correct?
Right.
Okay. I think here you indicated that you didn't graduate high school, is that?
Yeah, I dropped out my senior year, and that's when I moved away, ran away from home with Rob.
Okay. All right. So when you were in school, what kind of grades did you achieve?
They were not good grades.
Okay.
Yeah. I did not do well. I mean, I told you I got kicked out of private school.
Okay. So was that pretty consistent that your grades weren't as high as they could have?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I would fail exams, but, you know, on standardized tests, I did pretty well, so people thought I just wasn't trying.
Oh, okay. So when you were in school, were you usually prepared for class? Was assignments completed on time? No.
Definitely not. No.
And did you attend your classes? Were you late?
You know, towards the end of high school, the only time I was in class, like, I would rarely ever go to class. I'd ditch. Rob and I would ditch all the time. But when we did go to class, we were high. So.
Okay. Did you study regularly after school, or did you study only for tests?
No, I mean, I would think about studying, and I knew I needed to study, but then I would just get so caught up in what I was doing. Like, oh, I need to go for a walk, I need to, like, hang out with Rob, or, you know, we need to go get some drugs, or, you know, I never studied. So it was something else I had to be doing, and I couldn't stop myself from not doing.
Okay. Are you satisfied with your former school performance?
No. I mean, I definitely wanted to do well. I just couldn't, and, you know, I felt like the teachers weren't there for me.
Okay. Do you think there's anything you could do to improve your experience?
I feel like if the teachers taught me differently, like, I wanted to learn, but I couldn't learn in the same way that everyone else could. So if they saw me for not as, like, a problem child, but as a kid with a disability, I feel like my school experience would have been different.
Okay. All right. And do you have goals to go back to high school and to finish high school?
Yeah, I feel like, you know, coming back after this trip, I feel like, I want to go back and get my GED.
Okay. So, I mean, you're really close. You said you finished halfway at your senior year.
Right.
So I think you can do it. I have faith in you.
Thank you.
So you've already touched upon this, but maybe you could elaborate a little bit. So were you treated fairly by teachers?
No. Definitely not.
Okay. And were you ever removed from class for your conduct?
Yeah. They would send me out all the time because I wasn't listening, or I'd get out of my seat when I wasn't supposed to. I'd spend too much long time in the bathroom, get distracted coming back to class after going to the bathroom.
Okay. So these things you're telling me, they sound like you're not intentionally doing bad things, but it was perceived as...
Right, and I would be confused. I didn't understand why I was getting in trouble so much.
Okay. Did you have any favorite teachers?
No, none of them saw me for who I actually was.
Okay.
None of them took the time to help me.
Yeah, that sounds like a hard experience because you spend so much time of your life as a child in school, and I'm sorry that it wasn't such a pleasant experience for you. But maybe we can work on some things as you earn your GED.
That'd be great.
Awesome. Okay, so as far as being in school, were you involved in any activities, like extracurricular activities, any clubs, or?
Clubs, no.
Okay.
No.
So you did do some sports, but did you say that was only as a younger child?
Yeah, I just, you have to have good grades to be in sports clubs. I mean, on the team.
Yeah.
You get kicked out, so.
That's kind of unfair for, like, say, someone like you, who it wasn't your fault, wasn't your intention, and you probably really would have benefited from being on a sports
team. I definitely wish that I could have.
Yeah. Okay, so I have a few more questions for you. So when you were in school, after school, were you usually alone, with a friend, with a group?
I mean, towards the end of the time when I was in school before I dropped out, I was with Rob a lot.
So can you tell me a little bit more about Rob, like your relationship with him?
So I met him, I've known him since I was younger, like elementary school really, but he started having a hard time in high school, and I was the type of person who was always like there for my friends. And my friends consider me a good listener, and so kind of like turned Rob into my project.
Okay, how so do you mean?
Just, I wanted to take care of him and be there for him and listen to him. But, he made me get into drugs, and, because I was hanging out with him, I would do what he did. And
so why is it, did you feel like you needed to be there for him more than any other person? Was there something about him or his circumstances of his life, or what was?
I guess we kind of clicked because we both were experiencing really difficult things in our lives.
What was he experiencing?
Depression. He had cancer when he was a kid. And he went into remission when he was 12, but then his mom announced that she had cancer and she died. And he blames himself for her death because she wanted all the attention to be on him when he was a kid because he had cancer so young. But she didn't tell anyone she had cancer.
Okay. Yeah.
So he blames himself for that.
I could see that you wanted to be a good friend and help him out and be there for him. That sounds like a very hard time for you both. So, thinking about your social situation, friends, Rob, maybe even your sister, what do you like about your social situation?
My friends are good friends, I trust them, and I feel like I'm a good friend to them too because I'm seen as the one that listens to them. They come to me for their problems and
Okay, that's good. It sounds like you're a good friend. Is there anything you dislike about your social situation?
I guess hanging out with Rob was good in some ways for me, but getting into drugs was obviously the wrong decision. So letting myself be affected by the people that I chose to hang out with was definitely tough.
Okay. And I have kind of a list here of things. I'm kind of thinking more about currently how you spend your time, the kinds of activities you do. So first of all, is scheduling a problem for you now after you kind of stop using drugs and after you come back from Outward Bound?
Yeah, definitely is still a problem. Being in the middle of nature is one thing, but being back into everything else that I've experienced, this world is so different from that world.
Okay. So right now you're not doing any schoolwork, is that correct?
Right, but I want to.
Okay.
I just don't really know how to start.
Okay. Do you anticipate that scheduling that in your life might be a problem for you?
Yeah, I think so, especially because I have to be doing it kind of on my own time. I feel like GED wouldn't be a regular school schedule.
I think there's a couple different options. Maybe we can find something that might work best for you. Reading for pleasure, is that something you do?
Reading's hard for me, so I can't really stay focused.
Okay. Alright. Watching television?
TV's cool.
Okay. Do you ever just do nothing?
I'm usually doing something.
Okay.
Yeah. Just Yeah, no, I'm usually doing something that would walk around, move around.
Okay. And how about daydreaming? I know you said in the past you did it, but is it still something that kind of...
Still, yeah, definitely. Like, I'll be talking to someone and then I start thinking about something else, and it's still an issue for me.
Okay. And working at a job, is that something you're currently doing?
I've been looking for a job, but I haven't found anything yet.
Okay.
I'm not really sure.
All right. So where are your priorities between school and work? Are they equal, or is one more than...
I definitely am trying to live on my own. So working is important for me to be able to do it at the same time.
Okay. And how are you concerned with your appearance, like making yourself and your clothes look good? Is that something that you spend a lot of time doing? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And how is it as far as your wardrobe and your chest of drawers and stuff? Is it still kind of disorganized?
Of course.
Okay.
It's piled. It's not folded. It's not hung up.
Okay. So do you think it might even take you even longer because of that?
Oh yeah, because I can't find anything. I'm just like digging through clothes after clothes. Sometimes I just leave the laundry basket on the floor, and I don't even put it away. I just leave it there, and then I wash it and leave it there.
Okay. So is dating something you make time for now, or something you're interested in?
Yeah, but I just broke up with Rob, so probably not for a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, that sounds good. Give yourself some time. Focus on yourself.
Yep.
And hanging around or talking with friends, is that something you are doing or want to do more?
Oh yeah, definitely. But people, we're older now, but they've gone to other states for school or things, so trying to make some new friends.
Okay. Okay. And are you currently engaging in any physical activities like soccer, tennis, swimming, gymnastics, anything like that?
I want to. I haven't signed up for anything or found something that I could afford yet, but I want to do something active since I just got back. Something like maybe kayaking or.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. Okay. And just a couple of questions about your community and your neighborhood. How do you feel about it as far as how familiar with it are you? Do you know your way around it and where the nearest sources are, resources?
I mean, yeah, I would do a lot of walking around my neighborhood. So we'd hang out at 7-Eleven sometimes, or go to the park with friends, play basketball.
Okay, Gretchen. So I'd like to talk a little bit about work. Have you ever worked at a job?
At a restaurant.
Okay. What kinds of work did you do there?
I was a waitress.
What did you like about working there?
I liked the fact that it was something to do with food, because food is awesome, but I was not a good waitress. I messed up so much they ended up firing me.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't there very long. So I just kind of gave up on trying to find a part-time job during high school.
Okay. So from your experience, which I know is limited for work, what are your attitudes towards work in general? I know that probably wasn't the best fit for you, but how do you feel about working in general?
Oh, I want to be able to work, yeah. But once again, it's how I don't know how to do it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think we can work together on maybe finding some good fits for you.
That'd be great.
In the future here. Okay. So, do you have any idea of any occupations, any jobs you'd like to enter?
I've been thinking about maybe going to become a teacher, because I would like to work with kids who have ADHD too, and be able to cater my teaching style to what their needs are, because since I wasn't given that myself, I would love to be able to give that to the kids nowadays.
Okay, that's great. And do you have any immediate plans for further education or training? I know we've talked a little bit about that, but maybe aside from getting your GED, do you have any, maybe becoming a teacher in
college maybe. Also I was thinking about maybe working for Outward Bound, or doing something else related to kids with ADHD. You work like, adolescents with ADHD, so your job's pretty cool, I think. I don't really know yet, but...
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that much about occupational therapy. I don't know, was it something that you knew about?
Oh, no, definitely not.
Okay.
I had no idea what it was.
So then maybe you can kind of, as we go through our sessions, kind of just see what it's all about, you know?
Yeah, that would be great.
And hopefully you'll get better in your life, and if it helps you make a decision for a career, one way or the other, that's good.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Okay, great. So you talked about teaching. So you know me, I'm an occupational therapist. So if you ever have any questions about that, I'd be glad to answer them. Do you know anyone who's a teacher, like special ed or general education?
I just know my teachers.
Okay.
But in like outside of the teachers that I've had, no. No, I can't think of anyone.
Okay. All right. And I think I mentioned you actually have a friend who works in Outward Bound. So
you do?
Yeah,
oh,
I do.
Wow.
Yeah, so that would maybe be something we could explore.
Yeah.
And see where that goes.
Cool.
And I'm sure he'd be happy to tell you how, what it's like from an insider's perspective, and see if that might be a good fit for you. It sounds like it might be. I mean, because you're so active and you like to stay energized.
Yeah, that would be really great.
Yeah. What occupation do you think you will actually be doing in 10 years from now? I know that's a hard question.
Probably teaching. Okay. Yeah, I would say the same as what I hope to be.
Okay. All right, Gretchen, we're almost done here. Just a couple more questions for this interview. Really appreciate it. So let's continue talking about work and talk about goals in your future. When you think about the future, what things do you think will be important to you? Like, will it be money, free time, feeling young, having a successful career, a family, anything like that?
I would like to have a career and a family, but I don't want to work as much as my dad. So I want to have free time still to do the things that I love to do, be active and go outside and camping or hiking, kayaking.
Okay. And if your future could be whatever you wanted, what would you want? And this doesn't have to be just work. This could be anything.
Okay. Well, I definitely want to, make sure that I finish my GED and that I finish school and I do well, and that ADHD isn't something that holds me back, that I'm able to just be myself and things will go smoothly.
Okay. All right. And if you could change anything in the world, what would you change?
Well, I know that I wouldn't change my ADHD, even though it's caused a lot of problems for me. I feel like it's who I am, it's a part of me, and if I changed that, I wouldn't be who I am anymore. I would lose my creativity, because ADHD is what, makes me who I am. And, this is why I'm so against, medications for ADHD, because when I was put on them, that was the only thing they offered me when I was diagnosed with Ritalin, and it just made me into I was no one. I had no emotions, and I wasn't myself anymore. So.
Yeah, that's definitely something that occupational therapy can do, is we can explore alternatives to medication. So that should be good news.
Yeah.
Okay, Gretchen, last question. When you daydream, what do you dream about?
I guess one of my biggest dreams is that people with disabilities, like ADHD, they'd have equal opportunities in schools, and, that they would be able to be themselves and they would be able to learn with the learning style that works best for them, and that everyone could just be able to be themselves, and they wouldn't be seen for their disability, but they would be seen for their strengths and things that they can offer.
Okay. Sounds like you're really passionate about that, and that you have experience with that, I think you'd be really good in helping the world change that.
So.
So I'd like to thank you. We're done with the interview part, and I just have a couple assessments that if you're willing to do, I think would be really helpful in learning just a little bit more about you.
Okay.